tat tat asma saram hridayam patedam tadasma saram hridayam patedam yat kriyamanai harinama jye na vikriyeta yada vikkaro netre jalam yatra guheshu harsha. So Sunanam that Asma Saram is still framed, Hridayam heart, Bata, Idam, certainly that, yet which Grihamanai, in spite of chanting Harinama, the holy name of the Lord, Dhyai, by concentration of the mind, Na does not. Vikriyata, change, yata, thus, yada, when, vikaraha, reaction, netre, in the eyes, jalam, tears, at gatra ruheshu, at the pole, arshaha, eruption, ecstasy. Translation, certainly the heart is still framed, which in spite of one chanting the holy name of the Lord with concentration, does not change when ecstasy takes place. Tears fill the eyes and hairs stand on end. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. We should note that with profit that the first 3 chapters of the second canto, a gradual process of development of devotional service is centered. In the first chapter of the first step in devotional service for God consciousness, by the process of hearing and chanting has been stressed, and a gross conception of the personality of Godhead in its universal form for the beginners is recommended. By such gross conception, of God through material manifestation of His energy, one is enabled to spiritualize his mind and the senses. And gradually concentrate the mind upon Lord Vishnu, the Supreme, who is present as the Super Soul in every heart, everywhere in every atom of the material universe. The system of Pancha Upasana, recommending 5 mental attitudes of the common man, is also enacted for this purpose, namely gradual development, worship of the superior that may be in the form of fire, electricity, the sun, the masses of living being, Lord Shiva, and at last the impersonal Super Soul, a partial representation of Lord Vishnu. They are all nicely described in the second chapter, but in the third chapter, further development is prescribed after one has actually reached the stage of Vishnu worship or pure devotional service. And the mature stage of Vishnu worship is suggested here in relation to the change of heart. The whole process of spiritual culture is aimed at changing the heart of the living being in the matter of his eternal relation with the Supreme Lord as subordinate servant, which is his eternal constitutional position. So with the progress of devotional service, the reaction of change in the heart is exhibited by gradual detachment from the senses of material enjoyment by a false sense of lording it over the world, and increase in the attitude of rendering devotional service to the Lord. Vaidhi Bhakti or regulated devotional service by the limbs of the body, namely the eyes, the ears, the nose, and the hands, and the legs are already explained herein before. Is now stressed herein in relation to the mind, which is the impetus for all activities of the limbs of the body. It is expected by all means that by discharging regulated devotional service, one must manifest the change of heart. If there is no change, no such change, the heart must be considered still framed, for it is not melted even when there is chanting of the holy name of the Lord. We must always remember that hearing and chanting are the basic principles of discharging devotional activities, duties. And if they are properly performed, they will follow the reactional ecstasy with signs of tears in the eyes and standing of the hairs of the body. These are natural consequences and are preliminary symptoms of the bhava stage which occurs before one reaches the perfectional stage of prema, love of Godhead. If the reaction does not take place even after continuous hearing and chanting of the holy name of the Lord, it may be considered to be due to offenses only. That is the opinion of the Sandarbha. In the beginning of chanting of the holy name of the Lord, if the devotee has not been very careful about evading the 10 kinds of offenses at the feet of the holy name, certainly the reaction of feeling of separation will not be visible by tears in the eyes and standing of the hair on end. The power stage is manifested by 8 transcendental symptoms, namely inertness, respiration, standing of hairs on the end, failing in the voice, trembling, paleness of the body, tears in the eyes, and finally trance. In Nectar of Devotion, a summary study of Srila Rupa Goswami's Bhaktirasamrita Sindhu explains those symptoms and vividly describes other transcendental developments, both in steady and accelerating manifestation. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has very critically discussed all these bhava displays in connection with some unscrupulous neophytes imitating the above symptoms for cheap appreciation. Not only Vishwanath Chakravarti but also Srila Rupa Goswami treated them very critically. Sometimes all the above 8 symptoms of SSD are imitated by the mundane devotees, prakrita sahajas, but the pseudo symptoms are at once detected when one sees the pseudo devotee addicted to so many forbidden things. Even though decorated with the sign of a devotee, a person addicted to smoking, drinking, or illegitimate sex with women cannot have all the above mentioned aesthetic symptoms. But it is seen that sometimes the symptoms are willfully imitated, and for this reason Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti accuses the imitators of being stone-hearted men. They are sometimes even affected by the reflection of such transcendental symptoms. Yet if they still do not give up the forbidden habit, then they are hopeless cases of transcendental realization. When Lord Chaitanya met Ramananda Rai of Kavur on the bank of the Godavari, the Lord developed all these symptoms, but because the presence of some non-devotee attendants of the Rai, the Lord suppressed the symptoms, so sometimes they are not visible even in the body of a first-class devotee for certain circumstantial reasons. Therefore, real steady bhava is definitely displayed in the matter of cessation of material desires, chanting, utilizing every moment in transcendental loving service of the Lord. Avyakta kalatvam, eagerness for glorifying the Lord constantly. Namaganis daruchi, attraction for living in the land of the Lord. Pritis tatve, pritis tat vashati stale, pritis tat vasati stale, complete detachment of material happiness. Virakti, rightlessness, mana sunyata, one who has developed all these transcendental qualities really possessed of the bhava state is distinguished from the stone-hearted imitator or mundane devotee. The process can be summarized as follows. That one devotee who chants the holy name of the Lord in a perfectly offenseless manner and is friendly to everyone can actually relish the transcendental state of glorifying the Lord. And the result of such realization is reflected in the cessation of all material desires, etc., as mentioned above. The neophytes, due to their being in the lower stage of devotional service, are inevitably envious, so much so that they invent their own ways and means of devotional service without following the Acharya. As such, even if they make a show of constantly chanting the holy name of the Lord, they cannot relish the transcendental taste of the holy name. Therefore, the show of tears in the eyes, trembling, perspiration, or unconsciousness, etc., is condemned. They can, however, get in touch with the pure devotee of the Lord and rectify their bad habits. Otherwise, they shall continue to be stone-hearted and unfit for any treatment. A complete progressive march on the path, return path home back to God, it will depend on the instruction of the revealed scriptures directed by a realized devotee. So, back to the verse again. Certainly the heart is still frank, which in spite of one chanting the holy name of the Lord, with concentration does not change with ecstasy takes place, tears fill the eyes and the hands stand on end. So, Om Jnanatimirandasya Jananam Janashalakaya Chakshuzan Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Satvitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamam Dadati Swaparandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Shadvitam Savadutam Parijinam Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanvitam Shya E Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Kashabhanu Shtuta Devi Pranamami Hare Priya Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namarom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinaminin Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharinen Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschyat Desatarinen Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Shri Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, thank you again for coming and joining us on this webinar class today. Very fortunate to have your kind association. So, as requested by Leela Smaran Prabhu to talk about today's verse from this Bhagavatam, we will try to tonight discuss this very nice chapter. And Prabhupada has given a lot of explanation on this. So I think it is beneficial that we try to understand this, what is actually the process of chanting this Hare Krishna and what are the symptoms that manifest. How this manifests how this devotional service manifests in a person's heart. So of course, many of us have been chanting, so we are sometimes curious why our head is not standing on end and our eyes is not shedding tears and why there's no ecstasy. Because Prabhupada has already given a clear indication of what is ecstasy here. He says, there are 9 processes of it. Standing on the hair on the ends. It's here. Yes, here. These are the process that one gets tears in the eyes, trembling, perspiration, unconsciousness. So these are the symptoms. I think it's also somewhere he mentioned here. Yes, here. The Bhava stage is manifested by 8 transcendental symptoms, namely inertness, perspiration, standing of hands on the ends, failing in the voice, trembling, paleness of the body, tears in the eyes, and finally trance. So this found in the nectar of devotion, that the asat vikara, ecstasies. Now, how to first let us understand how do we come to this position? First thing first is explained in the previous verse. We just go to one verse before this. It says here in this verse, the person who has not at any time received the dust of the feet of the Lord's pure devotee upon his head is certainly a dead body. And the person who has never experienced the aroma of the tulsi leaves on the lotus feet of the Lord is also a dead body, although he is breathing. So you see, this is the qualification. First and foremost, we must have the association of a very pure devotee. Without that association of pure devotee, it's very difficult to practice spiritual life. It's not possible, you see. This is the number one qualification, as even Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, that you must approach a pure devotee. Tat vidhi parnipatena, I'm sure you know. One must approach a self-realized soul. That's the first qualification. Now, prior to this, you can see how the system works. Let us first get to know the system of how this whole devotional service is practiced. Yeah, this is explained here in this verse. This is the process. Adav Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha Ta Bhajana Kriya Tato Nartha Nivrittisya Tato Nishta Ruchi Tata Atha Shakti Tato Bhave Tata Prema Abhyudanchati Shadakanam Ayam Premnaha Prabhu Durbhave Bhavet Kramaha. In the beginning, one must have preliminary desire for self-realization. This will bring one to the stage of trying to associate person who are spiritually elevated. So this is the first step, that one must have a desire for Krishna consciousness. And this will bring one to the stage of trying to associate with persons who are spiritually elevated. In other words, you meet a Pradavakshama Guru, someone who gives you a book, someone who, brings you, teach you the basic. Then he brings you to the next stage where one becomes initiated by an elevated spiritual master. In other words, he initiated the Guru, Diksha Guru, like in our case, Srila Prabhupada. You may get his books, you try to associate with him, then you read the books, then you get to understand more, then you want to, take it more seriously, you want to surrender to a spiritual master like Prabhupada. So naturally, by hearing from him, your desire to surrender to him will also take place. And then you get initiated. This is the beginning. Initiation means the beginning. So when you get initiated by a spiritual master, then your spiritual life begins. He takes away all your bad karma. Diksha means one thing, Divya Gyan, he gives you transcendental knowledge. And also Chapati, he takes away all your sinful reaction. So once he does that, then you're on the program of executing devotional service. Executing devotional service means, all the rules and regulations that he has given, that one must wake up in the morning, attend Mangalarti, one has to chant Hare Krishna 16 rounds, one has to worship Krishna, one has to associate with the devotees, one has to hear the Bhagavatam, and one has to stay in a holy place. These are the 5 limbs of devotional service that's ordered by the spiritual masters to be performed. So once we start doing that, then what happens? You see, the neophyte, under his instruction, the neophyte begins the process of devotional service. By execution of devotional service under the guidance of the spiritual master, one becomes free from material attachment. This means that he gets detached from a material attachment. That means he gives up the bad habits. He gives up the bad habits. Bad habits like meditating, illicit, gambling, and all these things, desires are clean from his heart. So once he gets over the anartha nivritti stage, that means the dirty thing going away from his heart, Then he develops, you see, what he gets here is that he develops certain steadiness in self-realization. That means he becomes a fixed up devotee. Or in other words, spontaneous uh, spiritual life begins. There's one sadhana bhakti means following the orders of spiritual master with rules and regulations. And then there is uh, sadhana bhakti and what is the other one? Spontaneous devotional service, raganuga bhakti. So attain steadiness in self-realization, and then he becomes fixed up. And when he does this in a steady manner, then he further develops. You can see here, he acquires a taste for hearing and about the absolute truth. It requires a taste. That it requires a taste for hearing of the absolute uh, personality of Krishna. He gets to hear, he likes, he acquires a taste for hearing about the absolute personality of God. It is either the taste for hearing the chanting or the taste for hearing about Krishna's, pastimes and hearing about Krishna, always trying to hear more and more of Krishna. So then when this taste leads one further forward and then he comes to attachment for Krishna consciousness. That means he gets attached to Krishna. He's always remembering Krishna. That means in his mind, he's always thinking of Krishna. You understand? That's why deity worship is very important, because by performing deity worship, or seeing the deity in the temple, that's also deity worship. Remembering how he looks, how his lotus feet, how his flute, how his face, how his feature, or even thinking of his consort, Radharani, or his servants. So when your mind is always focused in them, then what develops is that the attachment develops. You see the next stage, this stage leads one further forward to attachment in Krishna consciousness. Attachment in Krishna consciousness means remembering the lotus feet of the Lord, as I've said, or remembering his, eyebrows or his lips or his features, something about Krishna you're attracted to. You understand? Which is matures in bhava, or the preliminary stage of transcendental love of God. Now, of course, real love of God is prema, the highest perfection stage of life. Now, what is this bhava? Bhava is again divided. You can see here, bhava is divided. So here, bhava is given in this, we have already seen in this here. This is the description of bhava. Jantir, avyakta kalatvam, virakti, mana sunyata, asha bhanda samutkanta, nama gani sudaruchi, asakti tat guna akyane, pratistat vasati stale, iti adyo nubhavasyo jata bhavangure jane. So the translation is, when the seed of aesthetic emotion or the seed of bhava, when bhava develops for Krishna, emotion for Krishna fructifies. Now here we are talking about an emotion. In initial state, emotion is become very sentimental because it's not based on sound philosophical base, and it doesn't have any, no purification. It is all sentimental. It is religion without philosophy is sentimental. And of course, without sentiment, if there's a religion, then it's pure mental speculation. The following 9 symptoms manifest in one's behavior. The first symptom is, you see this point here? Forgiveness. And this is the first symptom. Forgiveness. That he is forgiving in the heart. Just like Arjuna, you saw that when he was in the battlefield, he, being a Vaishnava, he said, no, I don't want to fight. Why should I fight and kill them? Let them have the kingdom. I don't want this kingdom. Let them. This symptom of a devotee, Prabhupada writes, Vaishnava is always forgiving. Never mind this. Let them, have that quality. It's very important. and it's a manifestation of one who is making spiritual advancement. Then the next quality is that concern that time should not be wasted. Time should not be wasted. As you can see, Prabhupada, he was very conscious of wasting time. He considered sleeping as wasting time. The Goswamis, they were using, uh, 24 hours. They were practically engaged 22 hours, cutting down on their eating, sleeping, everything they cut down. See? So there's a song, the verse of Goswamis, it's explained that they are very, very detached from the process of material life. They were very much, uh, practically they have stopped eating, sleeping and all that, you know. That verse, Sankhya Purvaka Nama Ghana Natibi Kala Vasani Kutau Nitrahara Vikara Divijitau Chaitanya Dino Chaya. So here in this verse, it is explained that the Goswamis, who are engaged in chanting the holy names of the Lord and bowing down in schedule management, in this way they utilize their valuable lives, and in executing this devotional activity they conquered over eating and sleeping and were always meek and humble, enchanted by remembering the transcendental qualities of the Lord. So you see the Goswami behavior. Nidra hara vikara di vijitau chaitanya dino chayau. So in this Goswami's Astaka, they have conquered eating and sleeping. So that is not wasting time, always using time for Krishna consciousness. That's very important. Nowadays, if you always trying to waste time, use it for material things, then it is not a symptom of one who is making spiritual advancement. Concern that time should not be wasted. And then detachment. Virakti. Detachment is definitely a positive sign. Detachment means not wanting to enjoy our senses and not wanting to enjoy in sense gratification. Everything we want to offer to Krishna, everything we want to do for Krishna. The only concern whether Krishna is pleased or not, the spiritual master is pleased or not. That is detachment. Detachment doesn't mean that I just follow the four principles. Detachment means whether I want to serve the senses of Krishna. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchate. That means detachment. Absence of false prestige. Again, absence of false prestige means he is free from false ego. False ego means that what is the meaning of false ego? False ego means that I am thinking that I am the doer. And not necessarily I know Krishna and everything, but in the heart, whenever somebody is praising me and then I'm doing something, oh yes, I did it. So if this kind of a thing is inside the heart, it means that I am with false ego. If anybody is doing something very wonderful and then someone is praising him, immediately we remember the lotus feet of Krishna. Krishna has done this, Krishna has given me the intelligence, Krishna is doing everything, then we are free from false ego. Understand? False ego doesn't mean that, I only know I'm not the body. False ego means I understand that Krishna is the doer. Just like the verse in 327 of the Bhagavad Gita, Pakirti Kiryamanani, Gunayir Karmani Sarvasha, Ahankara Vimudatma Kartaham iti manyate. He thinks under the influence of false ego, Ahankara, he thinks he's the doer. To understand. So false ego means we understand that we are not the doers. Krishna is the doer. Everything is from Krishna. I am a minute, a small spark, in a Krishna's, what we say, part and parcel of it. I'm a small, minute part and parcel of Krishna. So everything is given by Krishna. I have to always remember that Krishna. So that means absence of false ego. And hoping. In the material world, everything will become very, very, very difficult. In fact, in the material world, it is a place of misery and is temporary. So once you become a preacher, many, many things will be against you. Practically, you don't see any good sign at all. You understand? So in this hopeless situation, he is hopeful that Krishna will save him. He is very hopeful that Krishna will give protection. He is very hopeful Krishna will deliver him. That hope. And eagerness, that eagerness is enthusiasm. The person is very eager to perform anything for Krishna's service. Is always enthusiastic. That's the symptom of a person who is actually developed power. Is he is there for everything for Krishna, eager, very eager to do his devotional service, very eager to perform so many things for Krishna's pleasure, and a taste for chanting the holy name of the Lord. This is also a very important point. A taste for chanting the holy name of the Lord. He would be so much, interested in chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This chanting Krishna's name, the attraction can only come when a person is in the Bhava platform. Yes, of course, in the neophyte stage, we've been ordered to chant 16 rounds, and we are, maybe trying to do it in a way that, we want to finish our rounds, and then, that's it, no? We in fact finish. But a devotee who is in the Bhava platform, he is constantly chanting. Whenever you see him, he's always trying to chant. You could find time, he's chanting. You see, like Prabhupada, good example. Always with a big bag, and he's walking, chanting. He's somewhere in between. In fact, he said, in between bites, you must chant Krishna name. So you see how much he has developed that attachment. And finally, attachment to the description of the transcendental qualities of Lord. That means he is not only interested in chanting Krishna's name, he is also very much, attracted to hearing about Krishna's quality, Krishna's pastime, Krishna's activity. And finally, an attraction for those places where Lord resides. That means this is a temple or a holy place like Vrindavan. So he likes to stay near these places or in this place. For example, Prabhupada said, temple is the place, a holy place, is worship. And Prabhupada has created all these temples, and that should be the mood. Trying to associate with the devotees, stay in the temple. These are called anubhava, subordinate sign of ecstatic emotion. They are visible in a person whose heart, the seed of love for God has begun to fructify. That means beginning to develop prema. So you see how this goes, stage by stage by stage. Spiritual life is not something that is, in uncharted waters. Anything goes and everything goes. So I saw one, devotee in one airport. She was sitting in front of us. She took out the bead bag and started chanting. And then she took out a tissue paper and she was always constantly wiping her eyes and chanting. And now this kind of imitation will not work. This is not meant to be done like that. This has to come naturally from the heart. So when he said that the stone-hearted, and here the purport Prabhupada explaining that the stone-hearted means that a person is chanting and is faking it. That is means stone-hearted. That means he's not developing the sincere symptoms that are coming about when a person takes up the process genuinely under the guidance of a pure devotee like Prabhupada. So when you follow them properly, then this symptom will manifest one way or other. You follow. And even they don't manifest, as Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says in the purport, that sometimes a pure devotee does not manifest these symptoms, it doesn't mean that he's not advanced or pure. In fact, the symptom of advancement means that he is following these four principles very, very strictly, and is chanting 16 rounds and doing his spiritual sadhana in a very what we say determined manner, steadily, strictly, without failing, unfailing. So that means he is also making a lot of advancement. So it doesn't mean that you don't have the hair standing and that means you are not making progress. Eventually it will come, or it may not come. That is up to Krishna. But a devotee who is advanced, he follows the principle very strictly. That's symptom. The person has also developed this ecstasy. So another important point, as we have studied in the purport just now, is that in spiritual life, these things cannot be faked. That is one very important. Or we should not be discouraged that these symptoms are not coming. Our duty is to genuinely practice Krishna consciousness and develop the love. And the more and more we progress steadily in spiritual life, now all these things will gradually manifest. Like it is explained here, you can see in the one verse here. I'll show you very quickly. You can see how the process works in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. In the third chapter of it, there is this verse also indicating this, how these things work. So once he becomes associated with the Lord, okay, I got the wrong chapter, give me a minute. Give me a minute. All right, here. So you can see here in the chapter how this works also is explained here. If one's hair do not stand on end, how can the heart melt? And if the heart does not melt, how can tears of love flow from the eyes? If one does not cry in spiritual happiness, how can one render loving service to Lord? And without such service, how can consciousness be? You see, this is the process, but cannot be imitated artificially. This is not to be. A devotee whose speech is sometimes choked up, whose heart melts, who cries continually and sometimes laughs, who feels ashamed and cries out loudly and then dances. A devotee thus fixed in loving service to me purifies the entire universe. In other words, these symptoms of a person who is a very pure devotee, a topmost pure devotee. It is not something that is to be imitated. You cannot imitate this kind of activities. These things are gradually manifest from a person who has become spiritually advanced. And that's also explained here. You can see when a diseased eye is treated with medicinal ointment, it gradually recovers power to see. Similarly, as a conscious living entity cleanses himself of material contamination by hearing and chanting the pious narration of my glories, he regains his ability to see me, the absolute truth in my subtle spiritual form. You see this point? You have to hear and chant. Then he regains his ability to see Krishna. This hearing and chanting leads the way. You understand? It's further explained in this verse. That's what happens here. This is what's going on. The mind of one meditating upon objects of senses gratification is certainly entangled in such objects. But if one constantly remembers me, then the mind is absorbed in me. So this constant remembering of Krishna, as I've explained, is the Asakti platform. In this Asakti platform, one's constantly hear about Krishna. That unless you attach, you attached to seeing Krishna all the time, then how your mind will be absorbed. It's not possible to absorb our mind in thinking of Krishna when we are not, having any attachment for him. So then it's explained. Therefore, one should reject all material process of elevation, which are all like mental creation of a dream, and to completely absorb one's mind in me. By constantly thinking of me, one becomes purified. So that is the sadhana bhakti state that we are being trained by Prabhupada to constantly think of Krishna. You understand? Now again in the next verse it says, if someone you see like this is going on this path, see, being conscious of the eternal self, one should give up association with women and those intimately associated women. Sitting fearlessly in a solitary place, one should concentrate the mind on me with great attention. Now if someone is getting attracted to women and is so much attached to them, means his spiritual life is very difficult. See this point. Krishna is saying about high devotional principle, and he's also telling us that how we should be and not attached. Of course, we should also be seeing women as spirit souls and servants of Krishna. And one is seeing them like that, then he is also given up the association. But to see the woman and trying to enjoy them, as is explained in the next verse, this should be given up. Of all kinds of suffering and bondage arising from various attachments, none is greater than the suffering and bondage arising from attachment to women and intimate contact with those attached to women. So you see, this is a very important point. You know, it doesn't mean that you give up all the women and stay in some cave or something. No, that you give up in your mind this process of trying to enjoy Maya. Because when you want to enjoy the body of the women, or you're trying to, get some pleasure of that, that means you are in the mode of passion. That's what I explained here. You can see this is a very bad quality. And this is the test of one who is making spiritual progress. You see here, this is the result. One who has failed to control his senses immediately feels attraction upon seeing a woman's form. See this point? Or the man, or the woman feeling attraction to the man. This is vice versa. If somebody has all these kind of qualities, that means it's not in any way, how can there be, the heart will have, these symptoms or aesthetic symptoms. That's not possible, not manifest. Even though we may be chanting for millions of years, that means we are still having a lot of passionate desire in our heart. That has to go. So which is created by the illusory energy of the Supreme Lord. Indeed, when the woman speaks with enticing words, smiles potentially, and moves her body sensuously, his mind is immediately captured, and thus he falls blind into the darkness of material existence, just as a moth maddened by the fire rushes blindly into flames. So you see the symptom, that means in the heart, you have desires to enjoy, say, the material energy in the form of women or even wealth or whatever. So this means that our chanting is not purified. Our chanting is not purified. That means we have got some contamination. So here again is explained further. A foolish person with no intelligence, discrimination is immediately arose at the sight of a lusty woman, beautifully decorated with golden ornaments, fine clothing, and other cosmetic features. When eager for sense gratification, such a fool loses all intelligence and is destroyed, just like a moth who rushes into blazing fire. So these are all symptoms. Just now we explained about the aesthetic symptom and how it leads you one thing to being a hair standing on hand and all that, symptoms, crying, tears in the heart melts. But similarly, there are symptoms of someone who is not making progress. That means in his heart, he enjoys the beauty of the women. He's always, looking at them. He's always interested in seeing them, and he's always relishing this. That means something is wrong. He may be chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, but then in his mind he is contaminated by the mode of passion. So these are tests. These are all symptoms and tests. Which way we are going. So if someone is going in the passionate mode or devotional service in passion, then how he will make progress spiritually? He can go on chanting for millions and millions of years. Right? That number 10 of friends to maintain mental attachment, inspire understanding, instead of chanting the holy name of the Lord, for so many years. This will not work to maintain mental attachment. So therefore, we should learn to become detached. That means in the heart we have to become purified. Purification can only take place if we associate with the devotees. Otherwise, there's no possibility of getting any progress. That's not possible. Made here and there by the Lord Himself. He says, Supreme Personality of God has said, my dear Uddhava, by associating with my pure devotees, one can destroy one's attachment for all objects of material sense gratification. Such purifying association brings me under the control of my devotees. See the point? The Lord is explaining how this works. One may perform the Ashtanga Yoga system, engage in philosophical analysis of the elements of mental nature, practice non-violence and other ordinary principles of piety, chant the Vedas, perform penance, take to renounce order of life, execute sacrificial performance, dig wells, plant trees, and perform other public welfare activities, give in charity, carry out severe vows, worship the demigod, chant confidential mantras, visit holy places, or accept major and minor disciplinary injunctions. But even by performing such activities, one does not bring me under his control. See this point? It is not. It's not some joke that we can carry on do whatever we like, and then we will be able to make spiritual progress. Spiritual progress means the mercy of our spiritual master, and that's it. We want to make progress. This is the only way we can make progress. See, they explained here. This is another verse. In every yuga, many living entities entangled in the mode of passion and ignorance gain the association of my devotees. See how they gain. Thus, such living entities, Daityas, Daityas means Prahlad Maharaj, Rakshasas, birds, Garuda, bees, the elephant, Gajendra, Gandharvas, Apsaras, Naga, Siddha, Charana, Guyakas, and Vidyadharas, as well as such low-class human beings as Vaishya, Shudra, women, and others were able to achieve my supreme abode. Vritrasura, Prahlad Maharaj, and others like them also achieved my abode by association with my devotees, as did personalities like Vishwaparva, Bali Maharaj, Banasura, Maya, Vibhishan, Sugriva, Hanuman, Jambavan, Gajendra, Jatayur, Tuladhara, Dharma, Vyada, Ubja, the gopis in Vrindavan, and the wives of the Brahmanas were performing sacrifices. So many people have become devotees. How they became devotees? By associating with my devotees. By association with my devotees. So this is the process, So if we are not developing the symptoms, that means, we have to be careful that maybe we have a mode of passion, or we are breaking the 10 offenses. We naturally, as Prabhupada said in the purport, when we commit offenses, then it's very difficult to make progress. So therefore, we should always seek advanced association. And that's why the temple is there. The more and more we frequent with the devotees, the more and more we talk to them and keep them our friends, then definitely we will make progress. But if we are not associating with the devotees, we are not, doing some service, we are not talking to the devotees, we are not revealing our mind, because that's one of the symptoms of devotional service, is to reveal the mind, as it says here. This is the process, you see here. Offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially, accepting prasadam, offering prasadam are the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee another. So this revealing the mind in confidence is a very important aspect, and also inquiring confidentially. When we are not doing this, then how we are going to control the mind? How are we going to capture our mind? Because the more and more we associate with devotees, then we'll be naturally discussing so many spiritual things. You see this, Prabhupada explained in the purport, you can see in this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami explained how to perform devotional service in the association of other devotees. There are 6 kinds of activities: giving charity to the devotees, to accepting from the devotees whatever they may offer in return, opening one mind to the devotees, inquiring from them about the confidential service of the Lord, honoring prasadam or spiritual food given by the devotees, and 6, feeding devotees with prasadam. An experienced devotee explains, and an inexperienced devotee learns from him. See this point here? An experienced devotee uh, learns from him. Yeah, this is important. This is called Guhyam Akyati Prachati. When a devotee distributes prasad, remnants of food offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in order to maintain our spirit of devotional service, you must accept this. Prasad is Lord's grace, received through the pure devotees. We should also invite pure devotees to our home, offer them prasadam, and be prepared to please them in all respect. This is called Bhunjate Bhojayate Chaiva. And even in ordinary social activities, these 6 types of dealing between 2 loving friends are absolutely necessary. For instance, when one businessman wishes to contact another businessman, he arranges the fees in a hotel, and over the fees he openly expresses what he wishes to do. He then inquires from his business friend how he should act. Sometimes presents are exchanged. Thus, whenever there is dealing of pretty or love, in intimate dealing, these 6 activities are executed. In the previous verse, Srila Rupa Goswami advised that one should renounce worldly association and keep company with the devotees. Sangatyaga Sato Vitti. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness has been established to facilitate these 6 kinds of living exchanges between the devotees. This society was started single-handedly, but because people are coming forward and dealing with the give and the take policy, the society has now expanded all over the world. We are glad that people are donating very liberally to the development of the society's activity, and people are also eagerly accepting whatever humble contribution we are giving them in the shape of books and magazines dealing strictly with subject matter of Krishna consciousness. Sometime hold Hare Krishna festival, invite life members and friends to participate in feasting by accepting prasadam. Although most of our members come from higher rungs of society, nonetheless come and take whatever little prasadam we are able to offer them. Sometimes the members and supporters inquire very confidentially about the methods of performing devotional service, and we try to explain this. In this way, our society is successfully spreading all over the world, and the intelligentsia of all countries gradually appreciating our Krishna consciousness activities. The life of the Krishna conscious society is nourished by these 6 types of loving exchange among the members. Therefore, people must be given the chance to associate with the devotees of ISKCON, because simply by reciprocating in the 6 ways mentioned above, an ordinary man can fully revive his dormant Krishna consciousness. In the Bhagavad Gita 262, it is stated, Sangat Sanjayate Kama. One desires and ambition develop according to the company one keeps. They often say that a man is known by his company, and if an ordinary man associates devotees, he will certainly develop his dormant Krishna consciousness. The understanding of Krishna consciousness is inanimate in every living entity and is already developed to some extent when the living entity takes a human body. This states in Chaitanya Charitamrita 22:107, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunaya Sarvanadi Sudachitte Karaya Udaya. Pure love of Krishna is eternally established in the hearts of living entities. It's not something to be gained from another source. When the heart is purified by hearing and chanting, the living entity naturally awakens. Since Krishna consciousness is inherent in every living entity, everyone should be given a chance to hear about Krishna. Simply by hearing and chanting Shravanam Kirtanam, one's heart is directly purified and one's original Krishna consciousness is immediately awakened. Krishna consciousness is not artificially imposed upon the heart. It's already there. When one chants the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the heart is cleansed of all mundane contamination. In the first stanza of the Sri Shashtaka, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Setodarpana Marjanam Bhavamagni Dhavakmi Nivapanam Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vittaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Punam Aswadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Paramvidyate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. All glories to Sri Krishna. Sankirtan cleanse the heart of all dance accumulated for years and extinguish the fire of conditioned life, repeated birth and death. The Sankirtan movement, the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spread the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendent knowledge, increase the ocean of transcendent bliss, enable us to taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. Not only the chanter of the Mahamantra is purified, but the heart of anyone who happens to hear the transcendental vibration Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare is also cleansed. Even souls embodied in lower animals, insects, trees, and other species of life also become purified, prepared to become fully Krishna conscious simply by hearing the tranquil vibration. This was explained by Thakur Haridas when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquired from him how living entities lower than human beings can be delivered from material bondage. Haridas Thakur said the chanting of the holy name is so powerful that even if one chants in the remotest part of the jungle, the trees, the animals will advance in Krishna consciousness simply by hearing the vibration. This was actually proved by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself when he passed through the forest of Jarikanda. That time the tigers, snakes, deer, and all other animals abandoned their natural animosity and began chanting and dancing in Sankirtan. Because we cannot imitate the activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we should follow in his footsteps. We are not powerful enough to enchant the lower animals such as tigers, snakes, cats, and dogs and teach them to dance. But by chanting the holy name of the Lord, we can actually convert many people throughout the world to Krishna consciousness. Contribution or distribution of the holy name of the Lord is a sublime example of contributing and giving charity, the Dati principle, and will be willingly and ready to receive the transcendental gift. One should inquire about Krishna conscious movement and open his mind in order to understand the situation of the world. Thus, the Kriyamakya Tipachati principle can be served. So, of course, Prabhupada goes on. Uh, Prabhupada is very long. So, we will, try to understand that spiritual life, you know, is based on this principle of revealing the mind and inquiring confidentially. And that means association. Why? Because, this mind is our stumbling block in making progress. This mind of ours is so detrimental. It has cheated us so much so that we are again and again taking material birth because of our confidential association with our mind. So when we can understand that the root cause of our problem is our very mind and try to purify it, then everything becomes perfect. This is very important. Then all symptoms will develop. You will feel so much attraction for Krishna that you feel him, you're missing him. As you know, we chant this is such a prayer. Govinda Virahena me, when will the tears come? And then tears are flowing my eyes like torrents of rain. You're feeling, my heart is feeling vacant in your absence. So that all will come when we have intense desire for the Lord. And that can only come by association. More and more we take association, will our mind, strengthen it, purify it, then of course we will definitely become Krishna conscious. So otherwise, if we do not do that, then as I explained, then our heart will be attracted to Maya. Even though we are chanting, we'll be struggling. Why my mind is going that way? Why my mind going? That means our mode of passion is becoming strong. So we need to purify that. That means association of devotees. Then immediately, everything comes nice. So, all right, we will stop here. For anybody has any questions, I will try to unmute anyone who can raise their hand. I will try to, then you can speak on the mic, and then everybody can, hear your questions, and then we will try to share with everybody. So, if you like, you can just raise your hand, and I'll unmute you. I see one hand is raised, so I will unmute you. Leela, you have your hand unraised, so you can speak what your question is. Or anybody else? Nobody seems to have a question. All right, then. I thank all of you for coming online. I will unmute all, then you can all speak. Anybody want to say anything? You can carry on saying. All right, I've unmuted all of you. Anyone be happy to say something. You have any comments or questions, anything?
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. I hope
Thank you.
this answered the questions, on this purport.
Very nice, this one. Very nice explanation. Very good.
Thank you very much. For God's mercy.
Thank you so much.
Anybody else? So, all right. If you have no question, doesn't matter. You can always view this class again. It will be recorded, and you can view it in the YouTube. So we'll be putting it up by tomorrow. You can click on and hear it again. Maybe you want to hear it over to further understand some points. But otherwise, I wish you all Hare Krishna, offering our best wishes. All glories to Prabhupada. Thank you for encouraging us. Hare Krishna.